Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Thought maybe I had a problem. It's so quiet.
Maybe they don't have they're muted.
Okay. Hey, Harvey.
Yeah,
Can
I'm
you?
here.
Hey, can you run host tonight?
I can.
Okay, I'm giving you host. I'm still at work.
Okay. I'm wondering if Deborah's going to kick us off or
We give about it's 3 minutes after now. I guess about 2 more minutes if she's not on. You
Okay.
you are Maryland.
Gotcha.
I've started the recording already.
Perfect. Thanks.
Mhm.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Deborah's in the midst of joining us. So we're going to go ahead and get started. It's 6:35. In the interest of time, our board member Franchesca Warren's got a prior commitment, so we're going to let her go first. But first, I was going to just pray about our meeting. Father, in the name of Jesus, we just thank you for this time of fellowship, community. May all that hear benefit from this, contribute in a positive way, and learn all they can about our community. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. And we're going to start with our board member, Franchesca Warren.
Good evening, everyone. Please forgive me if I don't have my camera on. As you guys know, it's spring break, and so I'm spending some time with the family. But I wanted to start with, we are actually at a very exciting time for the board. As of last month, we received our board projections for, our enrollment projections for the upcoming school year. For those who don't know, we spend a lot of time we spend a lot of time projecting based on enrollment, where people are coming from, where students are showing up, tracking students, just so we can better fill our schools. As everybody knows, we went through a pretty massive redistricting and residency verification in many of our schools. And so what we have been presented with is our projections for this upcoming school year. It is no secret to anyone who lives in South Fulton, but we are seeing record growth. We are seeing areas, the Westlake area, but also areas down in Fairburn, down by Langston Hughes, which is city of South Fulton. And so we're seeing a lot of tracking the developments, but also tracking the student population down there. One of the things that we have been looking at is, for example, our elementary schools, many of them that have been built new are built for 850 children. And so some of our schools, some residents reached out and were concerned with the number of developments that are coming and will the school have space? We will have space, but one of the things that we talked about at the board table is some of the planning and some of the foresight that we know, not only based on census, but based on just where students are going, about building new schools, what it's going to look like, refurbishing schools that are already on the list and building new schools. Of course, we have Camp Creek that's on the list that will be coming online in the next couple of years, but we also have SL Lewis, we also have Conley Hills that we have to rebuild. And so the projections, which are really interesting, and if I was at my computer, I would share them with you guys, but you see that we are tracking over 40,000 units to be built in South Fulton in the next couple of years. We don't know if it'll happen immediately, because some of these we get at the board level, have every permit that's been approved. We track them, and so we know when they're going to build the units, but we have 40,000 units planned to be built in South Fulton. This is in comparison to North Fulton, where I think there were 15,000 units. And so as we're looking at that, as we're changing spaces in schools and we're planning on future builds, we had a really robust discussion about what this looks like, what this means for us. And ultimately, one of the things that we've done to make sure that we're using taxpayers' dollars how we need is going into our existing schools and making sure that the spaces are being used for classroom spaces, in any classrooms that were maybe offices or other things, moving them. And then also thinking about how we can utilize existing space, also knowing that we are building. If we look at the schools that are in Sandtown specifically, if you look at A. Philip Randolph, it's an older school. I want to say their state capacity is about 600 or so. They sit at about 350, but they have went through the rezoning also. And all of those homes that are being built by the new Publix are actually zoned for A. Philip Randolph now. And so we are just tracking this and having lots of conversation and making lots of plans. I had a parent reach out to me that said, hey, we need to continue to build new schools, and absolutely. So our capital plan 2027 is where you're seeing Camp Creek being rebuilt, where you're seeing SL Lewis, where you're seeing Palmetto Elementary School becoming a K-8. But we're also having to start to look at capital plan 2032, which for a lot of people, it's like, oh, that's far off. It's not when you're talking about securing land, just all of the things that go into building a school, building multiple schools, actually. One of the things that this has brought us to is that if you guys live over by Westlake, you notice that the old Westlake building is being cleaned out, and we're assessing the building, and we're doing that for twofold reason. Because the space has sat empty for so long, albeit movie crews have been using it for things that they do. I'm really pushing the superintendent to start to think about taking that building and using it as a space to utilize for meetings for Fulton County schools and some of those things. And so people will see that it's going to take us a while to clean it out, get it assessed, those things, but that is on the pipeline to do something with. So I'll pause right there because that's a lot, but I wanted to make sure for those enrollment projections, looking at that. Okay. In addition, at the board meeting, that was at the work session. At the board meeting the week after, we actually had a really good conversation. We have gotten a lot of federal money for to fight the learning loss that we found with the pandemic. And one of the things that we have really invested in is this idea of making sure that all of our teachers are adequately trained on how to teach reading, but also resources in helping our kids get there. And so we have spent a lot of time, we are in budget season. And so looking at that, we had a really good presentation about where we are, how we're spending the money. And I don't want to give a number because I don't want to misquote, but we are at a place where we are spending the money on instruction and just trying to make sure that as we are getting kids, all of our kids are adequately trained how to read, addressing some of the new math curriculum that's coming down, and also looking at some of the things, bonuses for staff, pay raises for staff. These are all things that we're doing. As we talk about building the budget, and we know, you guys know that we build a budget from zero, we start with a zero balance and build it up. We are now looking, each department is presenting their budgets and we're giving feedback for it. There's been lots of talk of making sure that we don't burden the taxpayers. So in the next couple of weeks, you'll hear some budget hearings. I will send those out for those who need to hear that and to see what we're doing with it. But we're really using a fine-tooth comb, especially in these times that we're in, to make sure that anything that's not necessary, we don't have it in, or we're being creative on how we attack some of our issues that we see in our schools, whether it be mentoring, whether it be attendance issues, all of those things. And last but certainly not least, if you haven't already heard, State Representative Roger Bruce has done a really good job. He worked with a group of students from Renaissance Middle School and advocating that the state of Georgia provide a bus monitor for every single student, for all the buses in the state who need them. And so there was a lot of good conversation. These are 6th, 7th, and 8th grade girls talking about some of the things on the bus. For adults, we kind of think about behavior, but the young ladies reminded me that, you know, kids who have medical emergencies on the bus, many times the bus driver is having to figure out how to address the needs that are happening, and doing that while still trying to drive the bus. They've been all over the news. They've been all over the state talking about the needs and what they would like to see happen. So I think it's important for us, as we are thinking about this and we're doing this, that we just remember that of course, the state legislature has closed and no new bills, but the bill got a lot of traction. It did not pass. But we are having some conversations with those young ladies to figure out how we can address some of the things that we know are some issues on the bus, and doing it in a way that we can be most effective. So that's a lot. So I'm going to pause to see if anybody has any questions that they had. We are next month digging deep into the budget. So when I join you guys next week, we'll have some markups for you guys to see and to talk through and to go from there.
It looks like Ivory has her hand up. Go ahead, Ivory. Ivory, you're on mute.
Yes, okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, my question to Ms. Warren is, you mentioned having received federal funds for teachers to teach reading and being compensated for that. My concern is this, you know, oftentimes there are programs and nobody benefits from it except the persons who are running the program, or like the ones that are the supposedly teaching the reading skills. I want to know what kind of assessment is being done, because I want it to be more than the teachers get more money and the kids are still where they were when they started. So what kind of assessment are you doing? And this is not only just in education, but this is in so many areas, that the ones in charge are the ones who come out benefiting from it, and for persons for whom the program is supposed to be designed are not getting any benefits.
So let me clarify on the funds for that. So a couple of years ago, probably about 15, 20 years ago, in the Teaching Kids How to Read, there went to a whole language framework. That whole language framework was around the idea that kids learn better by not being taught phonics. So what we did when we got that federal money was that we went back to the old way of teaching kids how to read based on phonics. And so this has been year 3. We're actually, since we started during COVID, so about year 2 to 2.5 to 3. And so when you talk about students who are benefiting from them, the kids who started in kindergarten are in 2nd to 3rd grade, depending on where they were when we started with it. And so we've seen the reading scores. So for example, it wouldn't be where they haven't taken the milestones yet, right? When we look at their reading scores, when they're giving them readings on, do they know their sounds? Can they blend? Do they know morphology? Are they using vocabulary? Those are the things that we're seeing positive gains in. It's not something that will be shown on a milestone, because a milestone does not teach them how to read. But one of the things that we are seeing, because it's so important, is that, of course, we use some of the federal money as we give teachers raises, and we retain them, because right now it's very hard to retain anybody in the service field. However, we're also using those funds to put in the hands of students new workbooks. So when they're going to class, so there was a time when there was a large dependency on kids getting copies of things, right? So we have gotten new textbooks for the children. In addition to that, let's say that I am not reading where I'm supposed to read. We have also used that money for small pullout groups. So little Johnny and little Susie are not reading during school. They get those pullout groups to help them in the areas that they're struggling in. And in addition to where you'll see some of our middle schools and some of our elementary and some of our high schools also tutoring. So we tutor kids. So these are all services that kids get and that families get, essentially for free. In addition to that, so if me and you and another student, we're struggling, we're not where we need to be, we've also put things in place so that summer school, where traditionally you go because you failed a class, we have said that if you're not reading on level, we're sending you to summer school. I don't want to say it's non-negotiable, but it somewhat is, so that we can help you bring your skills up to where they need to be. So it's not just giving people money because they're there and giving them raises. The teachers have goals, and most importantly, the kids have goals, because what we're seeing, and you'll see this across the United States when we look at NAEP scores, reading scores drop. And fundamentally, they drop because kids were not being taught the most effective way to read, which is phonics, blending, morphology. So we've put that money into that. These are some of the same initiatives that you're seeing happening in Marietta City Schools. These are some of the same initiatives that you're seeing happening in Cobb. And there was actually legislation, a dyslexia bill that kind of spoke to this, and that making sure that kids are getting evidence-based practices. So I don't want to leave here thinking that we're just throwing money at a problem. Every child in Fulton County schools has access to high dosage tutoring groups in school. So if my child who's in second grade and they're really struggling with vocabulary, we have teachers who that's all they do is pull kids out every single day to try to close that gap. But we also, I've noticed when kids are coming in, I'm looking at their workbooks so the kids can make sure they're they're working on their skills. So this is an idea of making sure that we put the right resources in front of kids, we train teachers, but also spending that time making sure parents know what is available for kids, so that a parent can't say, well, I didn't know that we offered this help, or else I would have had my child. We spend a lot of time having, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person, just making sure that the parents know of all the tools that we have K-12 for kids, so that we can help them close the gaps, but we can also push them to where they can move to the next level. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you. I feel better.
Thank you. No problem.
There are no more questions from Ms. Warren. We thank you. We understand that you're on vacation this week. So thank you for that report.
Yes, ma'am. And I will, next time when I come, I'll pull up our budgets when they bring it to us so you guys can kind of see. We have been talking about making sure to not burden the taxpayer. Of course, you know, there'll be lots of talk of millage rates. We haven't gotten to that point in the budget yet. But I do want to let you guys know that I'll be bringing it to you guys for you to see it, and also the budget hearings. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Harvey, you want to go ahead, or you want me to take over? I apologize, everybody, for being late. My allergies are not being fair today, so I'm kind of having a hard time. You want to continue, Harvey?
No worries. Proceed.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Let me make sure. is we're gonna go ahead with the fire and police report. So Chief Jones and Chief Meadows or representative on the call.
So,
This is Sergeant Gibbons with the Police Department.
Wonderful. Go right ahead.
Hey, good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Again, I'm Sergeant Gibbons with the Police Department. Just real quick, give you some quick numbers about the stats for the last 4 weeks, the last month or so. From about March the 5th to about April the 4th. Overall crime in District 1 has been down about 11%. The highest crimes that we've had for the last 30 days in District 1 are auto thefts and larceny from vehicles. And we do know that some of District 1 is part of the FIB corridor, and that's where most of those crimes are sort of kind of occurring on the warehouses on the FIB corridor and the Cascade Camp Creek area. So what we've done, we've stepped up our patrols in those areas because we realize a lot of those crimes are occurring in the early morning, late night hours. So we've started to do extra check and patrol residential areas. And we've actually been able to catch some of those perps who've been actually breaking in those cars and stealing cars in the District 1 area. Also, we've been doing a lot of crime suppression details as it pertains to the semi trucks in the residential areas. Matter of fact, we did a detail today and we wrote about 21 citations. I think 5 of those were from commercial vehicles in the residential areas, seat belts, no driver's license, expired registration, expired tags. So that happened on today. Also, we're trying to combat the ATV issues that we're seeing an uptick in the District 1 area. So we're going to put our ATVs out in the streets in the community and educate some of the citizens about the ATV rules, the regulations as it pertains to ATVs in the communities. Also, we're happy to announce that that we're trying to partnership. We are partnershiping with the Sandtown area community house for the police department to use to give more visibility in the District 1 Sandtown area. And also, you guys will be happy to know that I've been working with the Slate Apartments in the on Sandtown Bay area. They have a new property manager meeting scheduled next week. She's trying to do a
Uh-oh,
Seems like we lost him.
it looks like we lost him. Hopefully he'll come back. Is there someone from the fire department on? Okay. It doesn't appear that anyone is from the fire department, so we'll go right on into the development update. We have 2 people on the call. One from Cassius Coleman from 5 Points Development, and then we have Brad Hughes from Rockhaven Homes. So, Mr. Coleman, you are up.
Thank you. I'll make this pretty quick. So we are, we finally got LDP for the project. That's called Sandtown 55, 210 senior apartments, right at the corner of Reynolds and Westlake. Not to air dirty laundry, but a big delay in this was some of the administrative turnover at the city that caused significant delays with LDP, and we just could not get anything consistent back from the department, and it just, I mean, we've been trying since last October, and honestly, thanks to our former mayor helping out a little bit, and as well as Councilwoman Rowell. I was able to secure LDP about a week and a half ago. Right now, I think from soup to nuts, we could have a shovel in the ground in about 60, I'll say 60 to 90 days, depending on how long it takes us to close our financial construction loan. And from there, it's probably a 15 to 18 month process, probably on the longer end of that, because the topo, I think the site work will take a little longer than normal. But it's been a journey, to say the least. But I'm happy to say we're finally there, and I expect within the next 60 to 90 days we should be able to break ground. Which I'll let Catherine know about that, because we will have a groundbreaking ceremony for the project.
Mr. Coleman, I have for everybody, there's a lot of new people on the call. I have a rendering from when you were here before, when you first presented. Is the layout similar to what you presented earlier?
I hope so. I want to make sure which rendering you have, because it did change a little, but nothing. The shape of the building and everything is still the same. It's just some aesthetics are a little different than what you see on there. But generally speaking, it's the same building. We're also initially we were breaking this up into 2 phases. Then we're going to build all 210 at the same time, because it's more efficient to do that, and our investor actually is requiring that. So it'll be just one construction start and finish, which I think the neighbors will appreciate, for all 210 units.
Donald, can you give me rights to share my screen? I'm gonna show you what I have.
Sure.
Okay. Can I share, Donald?
Hold on a sec, let me try.
Okay. And so the community can kind of get an idea of what they're going to build. And if you don't,
Give it a shot.
Okay, let's see. Here we go. Can you see it?
Looks like it's coming up now. Yes,
Yep.
that is, yes. So
Okay.
that is the building. Once again, color schemes and all of that have not been finalized. So open to some suggestions, of course, because I think I did mention to you guys that I would come back. We do have some flexibility in certain things aesthetically, but the building that you see is the building that is in for permitting.
It's sideways, Debbie.
That's how it is
Okay.
for me. I apologize. I don't think. Hold on just a second. There you go. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Okay.
better.
Okay. And that's over in the Maryland, that's over near you, right?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't think so. And I wanted to ask him, I think they were going to try to put a opening over on Reynolds Road. I don't know if that's such a good idea. Because you got a lot of traffic coming through there now. You got people racing and all this other kind of stuff. And you can see the little donut remains in the street and all this other kind of stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if that's sort of good for the senior citizens to come out there or just what.
Where is this located?
Right into, when you're talking about
What is the proposed location for this building?
This is Reynolds Road and Westlake where it intersects.
yeah.
at the 4-way stop sign. It used to be what was supposed to be a roundabout, but whoever did it didn't do it correctly, Donald. So right off of Camp Creek, when you make the left turn onto what used to be Reynolds Road, and they changed it to, I think, Westlake. And right there at the four-way stop sign, once you go across like you're entering into your residential area, that's where it's gonna be, right there on the right. Which is all woods now.
This is the new development for the senior citizen?
That's correct. Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
okay, so, okay, I know where it is.
I see some hands. Sergeant Gibbons?
Yes, ma'am. I apologize because my internet and my patrol car went out, and I think I got cut off when I was giving you guys some highlights.
Oh, okay, you did.
I can wait until my turn and you guys get finished discussing what you're discussing, and then I'll complete what I was talking about, if that's okay.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Thank you
Yes,
so
ma'am.
much.
Yes, ma'am.
I got a question. That street over there on the side, is that Reynolds Road? Because it looks like it's been widened.
That's just a rendering. So, but it is Reynolds Road. Yes.
Okay, that's just a, yeah, it looks like you widened it, and like I said,
Is it going to be widened?
I beg your pardon?
Is it going to be widened?
I don't
It is
know.
not. No,
And that was my concern about the opening. I think that was supposed to be an opening or an entrance or an exit or something on Reynolds. I don't know if that's a good
there's
idea at this point or not.
there's a decel lane to turn into the property, but we're not widening the road.
Well, that's a good thing to have a decel lane.
Yes.
You mentioned the colors. Deborah, doesn't the Sandtown overlay dictate what the exterior of buildings and things have to be?
Yeah,
and
he
stuff?
should have that.
The overlay has a palette of colors to choose from.
Yeah. The city has it.
Sure. I'll make sure the architect knows that.
Yeah.
And I have
The
noticed
staff
that you all
will
have a
make
habit,
sure.
I'm sorry.
I
You
was
all
gonna
have a
say
habit
this-
of use, wait a minute. I have one other question, comment. You all have a habit of using acronyms. Everybody doesn't know that LDP or LDF or whatever you said means nothing to me. I don't know if you sent out a document that had it in there, but what is that?
That
Land-
is the land disturbance permit.
Okay.
That gives
Well,
us
please-
the,
Please, everybody doesn't know that. And I think it makes for a better presentation if you don't use LDP and just the land development permit.
Thank you, Ivory. Are there
So,
any other, go ahead.
Regarding the drawing, the building is gonna face Reynolds Road, which means the back of the building would be towards the Sandtown Center subdivision.
I
well,
thought it was just the opposite.
this is 19 acres. So what you don't see in this rendering is there's a building that's going to be on the other side of the stream that runs through the property, which will be 52 units. The building that's facing Reynolds Road is 158 units. So there'll be an entrance on the Westlake side as well for the 52 unit building. And then we'll bridge over the creek.
Okay, so what I'm trying to envision as being the president for the Sandtown Center subdivision, I'm trying to envision what would this look like being next to our subdivision.
Exactly.
A realistic drawing. I know this is a rendering for you, but we would like to see,
Actually see what it's gonna look like.
right?
When it's
The
built.
building that you see, the footprint of the building is exactly what you see. So that's not going to change. So the only thing that I'm, expressing to everyone that we do have flexibility in, some of the exterior items, the colors, so on and so forth. And obviously that's based on what's in the overlay. But what you see here is exactly the way the building will be situated on the property.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
But there's a second building that we don't see.
Yeah, and that's a concern.
That's the concern for us and in the, from a development in the past, which we thought was supposed to be something that turned out to be something different.
Right.
We want to know realistically what it is that we're looking at. So
Yeah, so
if you could provide the courtesy for us as homeowners being next to the property that you're making this development on and giving us a true rendering of what you are developing for us to come in on, that would be perfect for us.
Because I'm
So-
glad you said that, Donald, because I thought that there was still gonna be trees on Reynolds Road, so that only thing we would see would be barely the top of the building. And I don't see any trees on Reynolds Road there. I see what looks like some manicured lawn or something there.
Just
And-
those short shrubbery,
I beg your pardon?
just shrubbery is all we see, you know, close up to the building.
Right, and so we were thinking that we would still have that tree buffer between the houses on Reynolds Road and the senior citizens facility, so that we, like I said, I thought, I have to go back and find my notes. I thought that the only thing we would probably see is maybe the rooftop of the building, but the way this looks, all of the trees have been taken down. And one of the things that I had mentioned was that, and I guess this is the front of the building now that's on Reynolds Road, whereas we thought maybe the front of the building would be off of Westlake Parkway, I think, when they entered, because one of my concerns was that it'd be wide enough that if there were a fire engine there and if there were an ambulance there and somebody was bringing somebody home, it would be enough space there for all three of those vehicles to be there and comfortably without being impeding on one another. And I don't see that. It looks like the building's been turned around and the entrance and everything is going to be on the Reynolds Road side instead of the other side, which would have been, what's that, Westlake Parkway or whatever that is that's going into the community. So
Right.
I see something, I had one thing in my mind based on what we talked about before, and then the rendering looks like something else. So Donald, I would really like to see the real deal, because we were supposed to get a senior residence before over there in Sandtown, and that was supposed to be the first thing supposed to be built, and we hadn't seen it. So I'd like to see a true rendering of everything, if you don't mind.
Well, so the decision was just made literally less than a week ago to move forward with the second building. The architect is working on that building as we speak. As soon as I get it, I will share it with everyone. But that decision was just made because that's what the investor wanted. So what you see, once again, is exactly the way the building will be situated on the property. So what I gave you 7 months ago hasn't changed. Nothing has changed. And when you go into permitting, you know, the number one thing of, you know, fire, safety, ambulance, you can't get permits without that. You just can't. So that is all approved by the fire department, so on and so forth. So there would never be an issue where a building is constructed where the emergency vehicles can't come in and leave.
Well, there are a lot of parking spaces there. It does not look like there's a lot of room for somebody to back up. And that's just me looking at a picture here. Maybe it is bigger in real life. I don't know. But
One
like
thing,
I said,
one thing to put into perspective is, this is the view of what Deborah has. So this is not something that Mr. Coleman is just presenting tonight. We've had this for quite some time.
Okay, well, I hadn't seen this. I must have missed it. I may have been asleep. I don't know.
Yeah, we did this, as a matter of fact,
Recording in progress.
this particular rendering was done in May 2021. And so I've had it since May of this, I sent it out to everybody on May 27th. And so, you know, I try to keep the information that the developers share. And so he presented it almost going on 2 years ago.
Yep, that is
But I don't
absolutely
think
right.
think old folks remember what happened 2 years ago.
Oh,
got
I get it. That's
my
why I
notes.
kept it. That's why I keep stuff. But the only thing we can do, like he said, he's going on through the process. And Marilyn, your concerns about the police and the fire and all of that, as they go through the permitting process, I'm sure that they are things that the city will make sure they adhere to.
And that's what they say.
Yeah.
But seriously, back to the entrance and the fact that I see little trees, but they look like maybe palm trees, which don't grow very big. It's not like a screen light. And you're gonna be seeing a lot of vehicles too. So is this exactly what it's gonna be looking like, where you have those pitiful looking trees, palm trees out there? Or are you gonna have real, because to me, a palm tree is not a real tree.
I remember we said we would have a buffer of trees out there. We would probably see the top of the building, but nobody said they were gonna go in there and just clear cut right on down the whole street. I don't know. Like I said, I gotta
I'll
go.
offer this suggestion. This
Yeah.
is Councilwoman Rowell. Let me offer this suggestion. Landscaping is a minor thing, and I think he indicated that he was open to that as well as color considerations for the building. So I would recommend that maybe next month he come and give us the full site, because you can see on the left, this is nothing, like she said, Ms. Davis said, nothing is different than what he originally proposed. The second building that you see over there, you can see, it was always conceived. So this is not any new discussion, but let's bring back and have a conversation about landscaping to kind of try to respond to that in color considerations that they would be open to.
And Councilwoman, to back you up on that one, we want to preserve as many trees as possible, because every time we cut down one, we have to pay for it. So
yeah,
we think it's absolutely aesthetically more pleasing to keep as many trees as possible as well. So that is absolutely our motivation. So we're not, opposed to keeping as many as possible, because every time we cut down one, we have to pay for it. So this rendering is simply just that. And the land disturbance permit, before we start, we have to have that plan. That landscape plan has to be approved as well. So with that, we can talk about that, and I can speak with the general contractor. There are certain things that can be done and certain things that cannot be done. So, but trees being preserved is absolutely top of the list.
and I also want to say, I think we have to be realistic. I know on this site in particular, there are many, many downed trees on this site now.
That's
as
correct.
a result of the tornado that came through a couple of years. So a lot of those trees, and I'm sure you can speak to Ms. Lee, they are down. So they're gonna have to work around all that. And let's have a conversation about the landscaping, just so we can keep with the agenda. I think, because we're not gonna have the answers today, but I think we can get to answers and something that we can all live with.
I agree.
Yeah, so what I'll do, and Ms. Davis knows this, the minute I get it, you will get it. We'll have our landscape architect. We'll have something, hopefully, maybe by the next meeting, but I can't promise that. But you will have an opportunity to see what that's going to look like prior to. But once again, we'll preserve as many trees as possible. I agree. We'd rather not see the less of parking cars and more of trees is better. So we'll definitely keep that in mind. Oh, 100%. I agree. But back to Councilwoman's point, we had a major issue even with our surveyor, because after that tornado, all the trees that were, just I mean, it looked like a chainsaw had been through there. They had a hard time even going in doing the geotechnical work because of what happened. So, you know, I'm not sure what how that limits us with this, but we'll know here shortly, and I'll share that with Ms. Davis and the councilwoman, and make sure you guys get a copy of everything.
Thank you.
All
And
righty.
I commit, if we can't get it done by the meeting, if we have to call a special meeting to talk about it, we can do that as well, so.
Yeah, well, we
Thank
will
you.
continue to have our meetings every month. We don't take off, so whenever he's ready to come back, just let me know and I'll put him on the agenda.
Thank
So-
you.
All
So
right,
Dr. Rowell, if that happens, please include myself and Delphine and other board members. The bulk of those down trees from the tornado are between where his second building was set
Mhm.
in line for our community. There is no buffer. Once he builds, so we will be interested in knowing if he's going to create a buffer zone and plant some trees or something, because all the trees were ripped out with the tornado.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we can figure out, because we all love trees around here. And the city also has a partnership with Trees Atlanta, which I'll also share with him if we have to go to, because like I said, a lot of these trees are down. So I think it's going to require some planning. But again, we can talk about that in a subsequent conversation.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
I'm excited about it because, you know, we need a senior development in the area. We do have a large number of seniors that are transitioning from their homes and don't want to leave the area. They usually move out to Cobb or Douglasville. So if we can, you know, get this product where they can stay within the community, I'm sure they'll be very appreciative of that. All right, thank you, Mr. Coleman. Our next person is Brad Hughes. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen first. Okay, yeah.
Yes, ma'am, I'm here, and I'm like Miss Warren and some others, I'm on spring break this week with the family, and I'm on my phone, so I can't get my camera to turn on, so I apologize. But with Sandtown Falls, a townhome development, they're right off Campbellton and Chattahoochee, and where Stonewall tail dead ends into Campbellton. We've been delayed by all the rain that we've had, and you know, really since November. So we're probably about 4 months behind schedule of where we want to be, unfortunately, because of all the rain and how long it takes the site to dry out after it rains. But we're hoping next week to finally start pouring curb on the site. And then the week after that, we'll hopefully, I'd say within the next 2 weeks, after that, we'll have the paving done. And then probably somewhere in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll hopefully be starting three buildings out there. So we've been delayed, but we're hoping to hopefully get some buildings coming out of the ground here in the next 2 to 3 weeks out there. So hopefully y'all start seeing some more progress. It's been frustrating due to the weather, but there's not much we can do when the good Lord, you know, gives us all the rain that we've had. So, but like I said, hopefully next week we'll have curb going down, and then the paving, and then soon after that we'll start, you know, getting the slabs poured and start seeing some sticks and bricks coming up out of the ground. And then I don't know if anybody's noticed, but the state city has started with the intersection improvements finally there. That's going to be installed, that red light, new traffic signal. So that was started a week or two ago. So there's going to be a lot of activity there over the next, you know, several months. So, but we're excited, and you know, just really looking forward to really pushing and you know, getting the development finished up, and then, you know, the construction started.
Does everybody know where this development is? And if you all can, let's see, we started on this one actually in around 2021 as well. So they've presented to us several times. It's right going down Campbellton Road, past Sandtown Crossing. Once you get, Brad, it's closer to Stonewall Tail on the right hand
Yeah, it's right.
side.
It is. It's right. If you're coming down Campbellton, right where Stonewall Tail dead ends into Campbellton, it's right across the street from right across the street from where Stonewall dead ends into Campbellton. So
And you all are enhancing that intersection, correct?
yes, sir. We are doing our portion. So between the splosh funds, I think that were approved. I'll probably get the year wrong, but somewhere around 2017 or 18, splosh funds were approved to put a traffic signal into that intersection, and then we're adding the fourth leg to that to our side of the development. So Stonewall Tail will be realigned to be more straight and dead on into Campbellton versus kind of at the angle it is now. There'll be some turn lanes, some obviously, and then decel lanes into our property, our development, and then a couple of turn lanes coming off of Campbellton on the Stonewall Tail. So all that will be drastically improved with a couple of different extra lanes on both of those roads. So it should improve traffic once everything's said and done.
Okay. Do anyone have any questions for Brad? I do have rendering for that, but I remember looking at my notes, there were many discussions on either having a fourplex or a sixplex for the townhomes, for the homes. Brad, what was decided?
It's a combination of both. We have some that are 6-unit buildings, some that are 4-unit buildings. So it's a combination of several different throughout the property. So it's not all all 4 or all 6, but it's a mixture of both. But the layout should be the same as what was originally proposed years ago, and then what we presented a couple of years ago. Nothing's changed with the layout.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Hi, it's Jennifer Freeman with Congresswoman Nikemi Williams' office. Good to see everybody. Mr. Hughes, you may have mentioned this and I just missed it. What's the name of the property, the new project?
Sandtown Falls. Sandtown Falls. Townhomes.
Falls.
Yes, ma'am.
Townhomes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions of Brad from anybody? All righty. Well, thank you, Brad, for sharing with us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me. And maybe we can come on here in a couple of months and give another update once we finally get some construction going. I can give you all an update on when we'll have some finished units and come back maybe in June or July and give you all another update. And
okay.
But we're excited. We're looking forward to it, and so we're excited to finally get these coming out of the ground.
Right. Well, I will make a note to reach out to you for June or July and get you back on the agenda. And just
That
kind
sounds
of a reminder to everybody, this is the development. I don't know if you all remember Larry Dingle, who brought this to the community and was representing this company. Mr. Dingle has passed away. But he was a long time resident of our community. So
yes.
Hopefully y'all can remember when all of this started, but this is where this development has been what do you call it? The little blue things have been up for a long time. That development, that empty lot has been there for quite some time. It's an eyesore. And
Yeah, I think it dates back to 2005 or 6.
Yeah, and the development was started, and then whoever was doing it stopped, and it's just been there. So it'll be good to finally get that up and running, and that'll make that area look really nice as well. All righty, thanks a lot, Brad.
Thank you all very much. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank
All
you.
right, Sergeant Gibbons, we'll come back to you.
Oh, yes, okay. This is Sergeant Gibbons. I think I had given you guys most of what I was supposed to give you, but I don't know what you heard because I didn't realize my internet had gone out and I was on the side of the road. So I'm gonna go over it again real briefly if you guys don't mind.
Okay.
We were talking about the crime reduction overall for the last month or so. It was down about 11%. And most of the crimes that have occurred were theft of autos and larceny from vehicles, which means that these guys are breaking in cars and just taking, if anything, they're taking small items, or they're just doing property damage, which means that they're busting a window to actually get inside the cars, or they're just taking cars. So we've been working details today and the last couple of weeks, crime suppression details in the District 1 area. Again, we did it today and we wrote 20 or 21 citations on the Cascade corridor as it pertains to commercial vehicles in the residential area, the 18-wheelers that's in the commercial area, seatbelt violations, expired tags, expired registration, things of that sort. And again, most of those crimes in the District 1 area are occurring over off of the FIB Cascade corridor. So we've stepped up the patrols, the extra checking patrols, because we're working overtime, especially during the weekends and between the hours of about 12 midnight to about 4 or 5 in the morning. We realized that a lot of those crimes are occurring at those times. So we've stepped up the extra checking patrols in the residential areas as well as the warehouse district, going down onto the going down the Fulton Industrial Boulevard corridor. I believe that's it. Do you guys have any questions for me or anything?
I was just wondering anecdotally, Sergeant, this is Harvey Davis.
Yes, sir.
If, are most of these perpetrators youth and perhaps gang related, or is there a trend for those that you are able to apprehend for the auto thefts and the like?
Most of those perps, they're juveniles. They're between the age of about 14 to 15 to 16. And what we've discovered, again, this is Fulton County. So when we apprehend those juveniles, oftentimes we can't do anything but release them to their parents.
Right.
Unfortunately, that's what it is here in Fulton County. And we've also discovered some of those juveniles, they're involved in other jurisdictions, crime thefts and snatch crimes from gas stations and subdivisions and things of that sort. So we've been able to work with Atlanta, GSP, Union City, Fairburn, Coweta County on a couple of those. And we've actually apprehended some of those juveniles. But again, all we can really do with a lot of them is turn them over to their parents. And unfortunately, I know it's sad to say, but by the time we get finished with the report on a lot of those guys, they're back out on the streets from their parents' house, and they're committing other crimes here in this city and other cities.
Right. I know all too well that the juvenile justice system is in due of reform. And as a result of conversations that I had with the chief, I was able to orchestrate a meeting with his team and the governor to talk about just that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I have a question. Am I being recognized, Debbie?
Yes, go ahead.
My question is, you said that some of them are 14 to, I think you said 14 to 16, maybe
Yes,
even
ma'am.
younger.
Yes, ma'am.
But I mean, these kids have parents. I mean, they got here, so they must have parents somewhere. Oh God, I didn't mean to say it that way, but you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is there any culpability that the parents have? I mean, can the parents be held accountable for the fact that their children are committing these crimes?
Yes, ma'am. And Councilwoman Rowell, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is that a piece of legislation that we're trying to get with the city, or is that on the state level? Do you know?
Do you know where your children are?
They actually can prosecute under state law as it stands now.
Yeah, and I believe that's something that chief and the higher ups in the police department, they're trying to work out to see what type of law that we can actually charge the parents, because technically you're supposed to know where your children are at all times. So there is something according to the Georgia state statute that we
Right.
can charge the parents with that violation of the law as it pertains to their children. But we have to get that and make sure that we're doing it according to the Georgia state law.
Yeah, because
Correct.
it's getting to be outrageous, and I mean, people have a greater responsibility than just giving birth to children, and we have to feed them in school. We have to do the community at large is taking on too much of a responsibility that parents should be taking on. And I just think that unless the system starts to hold parents accountable, this situation is likely to get worse rather than improving. And that was my concern about that. But I also had a comment that you made about the ATVs. It seems
Yes,
like
ma'am.
I'm in District 2. I'm just kind of, I'm very close to District 1, but technically I'm in District 2. Now, heading down Eno Road, heading toward the Cliftondale community, particularly on the weekend, I would say probably after midnight to maybe 4 or 5 in the morning, there are vehicles, and I can't understand. There are communities down there. What's wrong with the people that they put up with this noise and don't call the police unless the police just doesn't respond? I don't know where the culpability lies. Is it the fact that we have become a group of people that just tolerates in and everything, or if the police just doesn't respond to come out to try to catch these people? But it is a nuisance, and particularly if you're elderly and having challenges to sleep anyways, and then when you get up, for whatever reason, then you hear all this noise.
Well, this is a problem metro-wide, and you see it even in Atlanta, where ATVs as well as vehicles are taking over streets and the like. And it's a challenge for all municipalities and law enforcement entities. I know obviously we're affected by the ones that are near us, but it's a matter of priorities, the number of police that we have, and you balance that against life safety issues.
Yes,
Yeah, but quality of life is important too.
That is
Yes,
true.
You're absolutely right, Mr. Davis. But piggybacking on that, actually, when we catch those ATVs, and sometimes we can't catch them because we can't first of all, we can't chase them. And usually when we turn the lights on our patrol vehicles, first thing they're going to do is they're going to take off and they're going to run. So if the community, if you guys in the community, if you guys know where they live, know where little Johnny parents are, we can sort of kind of go and investigate those type of ATV activities. And it's a safety issue as well, because we can't risk their safety. I know it's sad to say, but we can't risk their safety.
I don't care about theirs.
Well, I totally understand your perception on that, but we have to be mindful of they're human too. So we have to.
Well, they ought to behave like they are.
Yes,
well,
ma'am.
we also have to, Ivory, be wary of litigation, and
But I'd like to be on that jury.
Yeah, and I totally understand it, Miss Ivory. But again, if the citizens, if they call us and they can get some intel as it pertains to where they live, we can go out and do our due diligence and have a conversation with those parents, and we can oftentimes confiscate those ATVs and write citations to those juveniles for probably 7 or 8 violations of the law. No helmet, no license, having an ATV on a public street, no registration, no headlights. So we can start there if the citizens in the community will call dispatch and give them maybe a little more information than what they give. And oftentimes we are immune to those things as far as we hear in the noise, so we don't want to call, because oftentimes the citizens don't want to get involved. But I encourage you to please get involved, because if we all work together, we can sort of kind of nip that in the bud. But again, like Mr. Davis was saying, that's a problem that we're having statewide with those ATVs. And once you get so many of them out there, when they see us driving down Old National, for instance, and it's 4 or 5 of them in the middle of Old National, we can't turn our lights on and chase them, because the first thing they're going to do is take off, and they're going to either kill themselves or they're going to kill some seasoned citizen out there that's not quite paying attention to what he or she is doing. And we're gonna have some legal issues on our hands by chasing those guys. So we have to do the right thing. And that's just call 911. And oftentimes, I apologize, it seems like we're not doing what we can do and what we're supposed to do, but sometimes our hands are tied as it pertains to those ATVs and off-road vehicles. So again, if you guys would just help us out by getting the information, as much information as possible as to where they live and some more pertinent information, we can do our due diligence and try to nip that in the bud as soon as possible.
Ms. Marbury, you have your hand up.
Good afternoon. Am I still?
You got an echo.
It looks like you're logged on twice.
I logged off the phone.
Yeah, you've got two Zoom sessions, Juanita.
Okay, let me
That's
know
fine.
and you log me out of one of them.
Hold on.
All right, Juanita, is that better?
Testing?
Yep, we can hear you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Deborah. I just
Sure.
wanted to say absolutely thank you to the police department, the chief of police, Officer Gibbon. You've been absolutely wonderful on Boat Rock Road. I know you all hadn't heard me talk about Boat Rock in a long time. I've been diligently working on Boat Rock Road because I really do feel like that Boat Rock is the thoroughfare to the problems on this side of town. So we can shut Boat Rock down. We could probably eliminate most of the problems on New Hope and all the rest of the streets. Thank you, Officer Gibbons. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I hear you, Ms.
I
Whitney.
want you to get some praise tonight. Thank you so much
Yes,
for the
yes, ma'am.
hard work that you all did on Boat Rock. I know you've made thousands of dollars because you stopped trucks, you've issued tickets. I've called in the ATVs. I mean, the Public Works has put up signs. We have done a whole lot of work on Boat Rock. We're not finished yet. So I need you to stay with me, okay? But I want you to know I appreciate you. Your efforts have not gone unnoticed on Boat Rock Road. Thank you so much, okay? Be safe.
Well, thank you very much for those comments. Do we have any other questions for Sergeant Gibbons?
Sergeant Givens, this is Councilwoman Rowell. This
Yes, ma'am.
question is posed by somebody who happens to be on the call. So
Yes,
I
ma'am.
asked it for her. She has asked about mopeds being driven in subdivisions. Can you speak to what the law says about that?
Yes, ma'am. Mopeds they can be driven in subdivisions as well as on public streets or right of ways, as long as they're 49 cc's or less. They don't have to have tags on them or insurance, as long as they're 49 cc's or less. But as soon as they get to the 50 cc and above mark, a moped is just like a vehicle. It's not a off-road four-wheeler, ATV, any type thing. It's a regular small motorized vehicle. So they can be driven throughout the subdivisions as long as they're obeying the laws. The 25-mile-an-hour speed limit in the subdivisions, the stop signs, the yield signs, things like that. Not driving on the sidewalk because it is a motorized vehicle and it can't be driven on the sidewalk. As long as they're obeying the Georgia state law as it pertains to a motorized vehicle on the right of way.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome, Councilwoman.
Any other questions? Well, thank you, Sergeant Gibbons, for joining us once again, and we look forward to you joining us next month.
Yes,
And all righty, before I get to Councilman Rowell and Councilman Gumb, I wanted to recognize we have Jennifer Freeman from Congresswoman Nakima Williams' office. We also have a Miss Henry from Commissioner Arrington's office. I didn't know if you all want to have something to say or to share. You all are on mute.
Good evening. Yes, this is Meetza Henry with Commissioner Arrington's office. I do have a few things to share. Next Wednesday, we are having our Board of Commissioners meeting. It was delayed from this week. So that will take place at 10 a.m. FultonCountyGA.gov. Also, we are having a Family Fun Day on Saturday, May 6th at the South Service Center in Fulton County. And that will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we'll have fun activities for all ages, free food, free resources. So we did have our flyer just went out today. It was finalized today, so I'll be sure to post it in the comment box as well in the chat. And then on Saturday, May 20th, we're partnering with Councilwoman Helen Willis, having a free summer teen hiring fair at the Walk-A-Mall Park. And that will be from, I believe the time is 10 to 2 as well. So I'll be sure to post the information.
One question that I had, this is Harvey Davis. I live in Versailles and been out here about 30 years. It used to be back in the day that Fulton County maintained the detention ponds for probably about 30 plus subdivisions. And probably 18 to 20 years ago, they said they were no longer going to do that, but they've grandfathered. They sent notices to the HOA saying that they were grandfathered and they just wouldn't do the maintenance on any new ones. When the city of South Fulton assumed responsibility for public works, the county was already behind a year or so as far as doing that. And there's a huge amount of constituents down here that are impacted by that. And it's very expensive to do these detention ponds. I spoke to Commissioner Khadija as well as Rob Pitts about it last year, April, May timeframe. There was a referendum, or actually a resolution that she introduced. And then they said, well, this is an executive session discussion. And to my knowledge, there's been no response from Fulton County commissioners to the constituents that are represented in the city of South Fulton by districts 5 and 6. So I just want to elevate that, because at the end of the day, the city did not, in the transition agreement with the county, assume responsibility for these ponds. Unlike other cities, new cities, they did actually accept responsibility and begin maintaining those ponds. But this is an issue that's really been a problem for a number of us in the city of South Fulton. It's not new news. I chatted a bit with Commissioner Arrington the other day about it, but at the end of the day, the right thing to do is for Fulton County not to abandon these things that they said that they would assume responsibility for and do the right thing. So that's just my comment. I know the answer is going to be we can't talk about it, but at the end of the day, that doesn't move us any closer to a resolution.
Okay, thanks for your comment. I will definitely take this to Commissioner Arrington. I'm not sure exactly what he mentioned to you, but I can definitely have an answer back to you on where they stand on that. I can definitely email you or contact you soon. So I will place my information in the chat. If you can contact me, just send me either text me or email me your email address, and I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
That's all I have. Does anyone else have any questions or concerns? Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Ms. Freeman, do you have any comments? Anything to share?
Yes, I did want to share just one item. Hold on, I had to turn my volume down. So, and I've already put my contact information in the chat. I did want to share a piece of legislation that the Congresswoman has introduced, which was introduced on March 30th, and it is in reference to endometriosis. And the Congresswoman wants you all to know that, and you may have heard that she's lived with endometriosis since she was 14 years old. And so she took the time to find a doctor. She did not dismiss her concerns. Information was hard to find then, and it's not much easier now. And so this is one of the reasons why she has introduced this legislation. And I can just, the name of it is, she introduced the Know Your Body Act. And what the legislation would do is it would direct the Department of Health and Human Services to create educational materials for elementary and secondary school-age children on uterine, ovarian, and related hormonal and menstrual disorders such as endometriosis, uterine fibroids, and also ovary syndrome. The Congresswoman introduced this legislation to close out the endometriosis Awareness Month, and is co-sponsored by representatives from California, Minnesota, Montana, and also New York and Florida. So that is it. I normally like to also try to share at least one of the Congresswoman's, what we call Nakima's notes. That's the work that she's doing for the Fighting Fifth. And so I will share this, that she brought a over $1 million check to Agnes Scott College to increase digital literacy. She also wanted to make sure that in reference to celebrating Women's History Month, she's been elected the vice chair of the Democratic Women's Caucus. And that's it. Does anybody have any questions or concerns for me?
Actually, I wanted to thank her for a follow-up for a concern that I raised with her office before the new redistricting took place. Now I'm represented by Congressman David Scott. But
Right.
At the end of last year, what I brought to the attention of a number of our folks in Congress is with the cost of living increase that we received for Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
They did not adjust the extra help program, the maximums for that.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, I didn't get that extra help with my Medicare insurance. And so basically the deductible is now greater than what I spend on medication in a year. She did have Social Security follow up with me. They did call me. They did confirm that I did not qualify anymore, but it's a serious issue. And it's the kind of thing where Congress needs to address that, because what they do is they adjust the cost of living based on a calendar year, but they adjust the maximums for that extra Social Security drug coverage on a fiscal year. So there's a disconnect there. And, the program's essentially worthless now because of that disconnect.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Davis, for that information.
But again, I did want to thank her because she did have Social Security call me, and they were on the phone with me, and we ran the numbers. And again, they said I wasn't qualified any longer, and that that was something that Congress would have to fix. And clearly, not one congressperson can do that on their own.
Right, right. Do you still have the email that you sent to the office by chance?
I'll have to look, probably so.
Okay.
She's got the web form. And when you send something like that, you also have to send a privacy release if it relates to.
Right. Okay, so you did the online form. Okay, all right.
Right.
All right, thank you. I will let her know. And if you have any other concerns or questions, you know where to find us.
Yep.
Thank you.
All righty.
All right,
Thank you so much. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
for joining us.
You're welcome.
Councilman Rowell and Councilman Gumb, you both are up, whichever one wants to go first. I think both of you all are on mute.
Thank you, thank you. Couple quick updates. I'm not gonna rehash what everybody has gone over, but I wanted to let you know that, of course, the Starbucks is under construction next to Popeyes. If you haven't passed there, I know we had a scheduled ribbon cutting or, not a ribbon cutting, but, what do they call it when you toss the dirt? But it got rained out that Friday. It was very, very heavy rain, but the construction is underway. So a lot of people are excited about that. Gaucher's Tapas Restaurant, which is in the plaza with Publix, is scheduled to probably open in the next couple of weeks. I'll be sending something out. We're getting very, very close. She just has some minor things to tighten up, but I'm in conversation with her at least once every couple of days. So we're getting really close. Wanted to let you know that the sidewalks for Danforth Road, we'll probably see those under construction in the next 2 to 3 weeks. They're finishing up the contract with the consultant and they'll be ready to go. So we're really excited about that as well. And at our last council meeting, we did a condemnation on the remaining 6 parcels needed to move forward with the New Hope Road sidewalks. Those will begin fall 2023 thereabout. But those are proceeding as well. One of the things I've been working on pretty heavily is trying to move projects that have been in the pipeline to the finish line. We have a couple projects. I'm working with the City of Atlanta watershed to move to closure. That's one of their final steps, even after they've gone through the city. Of course, water is provided by the City of Atlanta. So we've had some issues we're trying to work through with Chipotle as well as Quick Trip, but they all have the land disturbance permit on the City of South Fulton side. We're just trying to get them through watershed. And I've been working with the Commissioner of Watershed. She's been very responsive. So I'm hoping to get these resolved in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure you're aware, just from conversations with developer, a lot has changed with the increase in interest rates. So it's really important that the things we have in the pipeline, that we move them to closure, because the market it's a tough market right now. And one other thing I wanted to make you aware of, I think I mentioned this, on Utoy at Cascade, we're the dry cleaners and the warehouse is behind
Shell.
Shell gas station. I was trying to figure out, and across from Murray Brothers, those 2 buildings will be demolished and you'll have a small plaza going in there. It's not big, but about 10,000 square feet. But I think that's going to enhance the aesthetics of that area pretty significantly. That, along with the Quick Trip that's coming at Cascade and 285, it's going to look really nice, I think. And I also want to let you know we're in the final design phase for a traffic light at Kimberly Road and Cascade Road. Public Works is working through that. That area has been a problem for many, many years. Safety concerns, particularly for people coming out of the Promenade Park office plaza. So we're getting really close to that. And so I'm hoping that we'll have that traffic in, by fall, roughly. So that's underway. Once they get started, it takes about 3 to 4 months. So again, that's something that we can all look forward to. And finally, I have a couple Earth Day events coming up that I want to make you aware of. On April 15th, from 10 to 1, we'll be at the Evelyn Lowry Library, me in partnership with Commissioner Abdul Rahman. We're doing some beautification, planting flowers and things for Earth Day. She's going to be focused, well, we're doing it together, but we're going to focus on the library and the pocket park, just to change the aesthetic. So if you like to garden, please come out and join us. I've included in my newsletter and you can sign up. And also on that same day, it's about 3 other things going on in District 1. I don't know how I'm gonna be all these places at once, but I'm gonna do some pop-ins and pop-outs. Barrington Trace has a cleanup and beautification along Enon Road on that day, as well as the Campbellton Creek Nature Preserve. Both of those events are actually on Earth Day, which is the following weekend. April 22nd, as well as the Cascade cleanup. So it's 3 events on April 22nd. I'll include them in my newsletter kind of under Earth Day highlights, but just to let you know, it's a lot going on. And I'll leave it at that because I'm sure Councilwoman Gumb is going to talk about a parade that we're going to have on that day as well. So a lot going on, and I'll open it up if you have any questions.
Councilman Rowell, I have one question or comment. Where the roundabout is, Boat Rock, New Hope, Campbellton. Once you come like from that down Boat Rock, right behind the retention pond is a whole bunch of trees. But within that, there are a lot of trees that are down, but the other trees are holding them up from falling. They're all leaning. Is that ever going to get cleaned up?
I'm so glad you asked that. I actually did a ride with the city arborist today. I rode all of District 1, and I pointed out every tree issue I had, and that was one of them. So he's going to be addressing that as well as trees on Cascade Road, which they had done some. So Cascade looks a lot better than it used to look, but they're also going to be doing some work in the park at Trammell Crow and Sandtown Park. So literally we rode for about 3.5 hours today. And that was one of the things that I brought to his attention that we needed to address because that is private property.
Oh,
so
okay.
We're going to get it taken care of.
Okay, cool. I'm just concerned it's gonna fall or something might get hurt. You know, a lot of people walk, I walk and, you know, you see those trees that they're down, but they can't fall because they're on another tree. So.
Right. So stay tuned. You're going to see those. Like I said, he's working on executing some agreements with. He's going to have 3 teams working across the city to address tree issues. I've been on him for a while, so he was like, just show me what you mean. So yeah, we spent 3.5 hours today and rode the entire district.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Councilman Rowell? Thank you very much. Councilman Gumb, you're up.
Good evening. I have my camera off because I'm actually at a senior citizens basketball game. So I apologize that I don't have my camera on. But just to kind of give you all some updates. Of course, we had our groundbreaking at the Stonewall Tel in Campbellton traffic signals. So you all have seen the construction that's taking place there. We will be hosting our public safety town hall at 6:30 on April the 10th at Wolf Creek Library, which is this coming Monday. We will have light refreshments, but we will also have our chief of police, Keith Meadows, will be there giving us some updates on public safety issues that are in the district and also to Sandtown as well. So we did have Officer Gibbons on today, but Chief will also be there to kind of give us some more information. As you know, April is Autism Month and Earth Day Month. We heard Councilwoman Dr. Rowell talk about some of the Earth Day activities. The city of South Fulton is hosting Autism Festival, Sensory Festival, and that will be on April the 15th at Wilkinson Mill Park. That is in District 4. It's a beautiful park. But if you know any kids or family members that would love to come out and have a good time and learn more about autism, I would encourage you to go. This is a very good event. We also will be having a Wolf Creek cleanup trail, Wolf Creek Trail cleanup on April the 15th, the weekend before Earth Day, in partnership with Commissioner Arrington, and we will also be having Shredding Day as well. We do need volunteers, so if you are interested in volunteering, please, please, please let us know. We take anybody to help us. Also, too, we will be hosting the Earth Day Parade. The city of South Fulton will be hosting its first Earth Day Parade and Fair in partnership with our first local little farmer, which is Kendall. I don't know if many of you are familiar with her, but she has been a celebrity sensation all over, coming around and learning and teaching people more about gardening and learning more about how to live on the earth. and eat from the earth. So we will be hosting a Earth Day parade and fair with vendors, and schools will be out. The band will also be participating on April the 22nd. I believe it starts at noon on Old National Highway. We're asking organizations to get involved, especially the schools. I do know that we do have a number of schools that will be participating. We also will be hosting a charity golf tournament on May 1st to benefit the Teens Voices Horse Ranch that is here in the district. That will be at Wolf Creek Golf Course. So please, if you know any kids, we would love to have them come out for that. Also too, just to mention, in May is Older Americans Month. We will be hosting a senior golf tournament. So if there are anybody that could be over the age of 50 that's interested in participating in golf, please join us as we launch the City of South Fulton Senior Golf team. We had a successful Women's History Month and Business Mixer. We had about over 30 women in businesses that came out to network and connect with other businesses. It was an absolute wonderful time. I want to remind everybody to come to work session on Tuesday. I believe that is at Welcome All Park. We have them at Welcome All Park, but if you're unable to attend face-to-face, please join us via YouTube. Lastly, well, not lastly, but we have several speed signs that have been placed on Camp Creek Parkway. The City of South Fulton police are actually monitoring and trying to slow the traffic down a little bit more. I know you all are aware that we've had some very violent crashes that have taken place off of Camp Creek. So those speed readers are trying to help us with slowing down the traffic. Also too, the city has, so District 1 and District 2, Councilwoman Rowell and myself petitioned to have a speed study done for Enon Road. And the results came back that we are really trying to reduce the speed limit from 45 to 35, and it met all of the thresholds. So the city has submitted its official request letter to GDOT to have the speed reduced on Enon Road from 45 to 35. So we're excited about that. So we pray that you all will be seeing some movement on that very soon. Sidewalks on Enon Road in front of the library. The timeline has moved just a little bit because we do have one parcel that is still in play, but should be sold very soon. So we can go ahead and begin the construction in late summer. And I believe this is lastly, well, no, not lastly. Wolf Creek Amphitheater, we have, the council has approved almost $500,000 in renovations. And we also had a significant RFP process for a concert promoter, and that has been selected. We do anticipate the amphitheater will be ready for entertainment by our annual Juneteenth kickoff event. So look forward to more on that. And the City of South Fulton has also recognized Black Women's Maternal Health Week, which is April the 11th through the 17th. And it was very interesting to hear that Congresswoman Williams has also introduced legislation regarding endometriosis. But we will be having a workshop with board members from the Black Women's Health Imperative that will also come and talk about the challenges and what we can do as women to pretty much be able to advocate for ourselves, because we are losing a lot of women just trying to bring life into this world. And lastly, there is a trend of young people that are riding through subdivisions that are brandishing toy guns, water guns, pellet guns, and things of that nature. I know that Lieutenant Williams did a news story tonight that should be airing in front of Waterford Commons, which one of the parents has also been interviewed, but this has become a trend, has also been happening in Walden Park. So I have gotten together with the police department, and we will be introducing legislation to prohibit these type of toy guns, pellet guns, and water guns that will be prohibited in our parks, public events, or even unsanctioned events within the city. I believe that is all that we have that I could even stand to tell any more about. But I know it was a lot, but you can always find out more information on our websites, or you can give me a call.
Thank you, Councilman Gumb. Ivory, you have your hand up? Ivory, you on mute? Can you unmute your phone so you can ask your question?
All right, let's see if I can. Hold on. Let's see if I can.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we
Yes.
can.
Okay, great. Yes, from my perspective, if I go Enon Road, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be heading north from Camp Creek Parkway, going toward Campbellton Road. Now, of all the times that I have traveled that route, I don't see any speeding, but yet y'all got a speed reader over there, and you're talking about dropping the speed limit from 45 to 35. In my opinion, that is a solution for a problem that does not exist. Now, the problem that you do have, and I have brought this to your attention several times, is on Vanderbilt Road. People travel over here like bats out of hell. So when somebody, I had to stop walking because the drivers didn't want to share the road. And there are no sidewalks. You're putting sidewalks everywhere else. And this is an old area out here, and we get nothing. So I stopped walking. And I just walked 8 times around my yard. And by that time, I would have gotten a mile in. But the yard is not even, so I have to be very careful. But what you need to do is to put speed readers on Vanderbilt Road. What you need to do is to put something in the road to cut the speed, to break the speed down. That's what we need over here. That's a problem that needs a solution. In my opinion, the area that you're talking about on Enon Road, there is no problem, and therefore there's no solution necessary. So I would like for you to commit to looking at this situation, because it is absolutely positively dangerous. I mean, drivers come by like as if they're traveling on the Atlanta Motor Speedway. I mean, really, really fast. It's dangerous.
Ms. Denson.
I will take your feedback, Ms. Denson, and I will follow back up with you in regards to Van Diver. But
Thank
we
you
did a
so
study.
much.
But we did do a study on, okay.
I wanted to share that there is a process to request this, and Francois Roussan presented to our organization probably 6 or 8 months ago about how we go through this. And it involves a formal process and their procedures that they go through in terms of the evaluation and the collection of data to move forward. There have been a lot of efforts, and Commissioner Rowell can tell you about Enon Road and involvement from the community to participate in that process. What I'll commit to doing is send you the video from Public Works that talks about how we go about that process. Because at the end of the day, while our council members can intercede on our behalf, the effort is citizen-led through a petition process.
Harvey, with all due respect, I'll be 80 in September. Doggone it, I don't want to take on too many tasks. I mean, I want some of these problems, I try to be engaged, but I'm telling you, I have mentioned this too many times, and some of this stuff
Well, it's like posting things on social media. If you don't go through the formal request process, it's not going to advance. And there are regulations and ordinances that speak to how that's supposed to work.
Well, I think that as a citizen, that if I bring it to whomever it is, if it's the commission, if I bring it to the commissioner, then I expect him or her to run with, or if I bring it to the councilwoman, that's what I expect. And maybe my expectations.
Well, if you read,
Harvey, Councilman Rowell has something to add. Harvey, hold on. Go ahead.
I want to just say this. We hear a lot of concerns, a lot of things we've inherited, and we're working really diligent to respond to constituents' concerns. But we don't want to diminish anybody's concern, because if it's a concern for them in their community, whether you live Eden or Van Diver, we hear you. But as Councilwoman Gumb started to state, we actually have been working on this Eden Road project for 2 years. We did the study. It was 39 crashes between Campbellton over the last couple of years. And we've also had a fatality. So that is a very, very real issue. It doesn't mean that your issue is not real, but perhaps there are some other people on your street who can take this on and help you, because we can't bypass the process. If we do it for one, we have to do it for all. So if we can find maybe some other residents who could go through that process, that would help us out tremendously.
Well, first of all, Councilwoman Rowell, there are only about six houses that people live in. It's a very short street.
Okay.
And maybe this is part of the reason why it doesn't rise to a level, but maybe I need to put it in writing so that if I'm out there, because I need to start walking again, because I've been told that I need to for health purposes, so that if I get killed out there, my ass will have something to move forward, that I had asked for this. I don't know whether the city will have any legal liabilities or not, but I hope so.
Ms. Denson, that's not fair. And of course, we wouldn't want anything to happen to you. If it's only 6 neighbors on your street, it should be easy to get this
It's not
petition.
easy. It's not easy. All of them are old like I am. Mr. Ingram across the street is about 82.
Okay.
One house has been vacant. A young white couple just moved in about 2 months ago.
Okay.
Let's see. Velma, down the street. It's been here quite a while, but there are not that many on the street. And I'm probably the most active one and concerned one over here.
Okay. Well, we'll try to figure it out. Ms. Gumb said she was committed. We'll try. I know it's a group of people on Van Diver who've initiated something, because they're also the Fulton County is looking at sewer for that area. And the only way that happens is through a petition process. So it's somebody over there is active that started something, and they brought that to my attention.
Well,
so
I don't know about that, but I know I've been talking to the people about sewage. I don't know what anybody else has been doing. Because
Fulton County is looking into it. So if you might have been one of the people who initiated, so I think we can try to figure this out.
Well, I hope so. Thank you.
All right, do we have any other questions for the council lady? Well, everybody, I think it is 8:14. We've had a robust discussion tonight, and I want to thank all of you for joining us. We will have the developer that is doing the community right there at Sandtown Crossing. Those apartments, he will be on the call next month to give us an update. They are going like gangbusters. So we hope that you all will join us. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's Story Riverside is the name of the
Okay,
development.
yeah. So they were gonna be on tonight, but they couldn't make it happen. So we will have them next month. And with that said, I hope all of you who celebrate Easter have a wonderful holiday this weekend with your loved ones. And I'm gonna have a wonderful Easter with my new granddaughter. So with that, y'all have a great week, and we will see you next month.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Happy Easter.
Happy
night.
Easter. Bye-bye. Be safe.